What if the very thing that makes you an outcast is the secret to saving everything? In the heart of the North Pole, a legend was born. A reindeer for his difference became a guiding light. This is the timeless story of Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, brought to life by storyboard AI. In the far, frozen north, beyond the tallest mountains and the quietest clouds, there lay a magical place called the North Pole. Snow blanketed the land like a soft white quilt, and the stars above shimmered as if they were smiling down on the world. This was where Santa Claus lived, and this was where the reindeer were born. On one peaceful winter night, when the moon glowed silver and the wind whispered gently through the pine trees, a baby reindeer was born in a warm, cozy stable. The moment he opened his eyes, something extraordinary happened. His nose began to glow. Not just a little shimmer, but a bright, glowing red light, warm and steady, like a tiny lantern shining in the dark. The elves gasped. The snow sparkled brighter, and Santa himself leaned closer, amazed. "What a curious little fellow," Santa said kindly. "We shall call him Rudolph." Rudolph grew quickly, surrounded by laughter, snowflakes, and the joyful sounds of Christmas songs. He loved to listen to Santa's stories and watch the elves make toys. Most of all, he loved watching the reindeer practice flying across the sky. Every night, Rudolph dreamed the same dream. He dreamed of flying at the front of Santa's sleigh. As Rudolph grew older, his red nose continued to glow, sometimes softly, sometimes brightly, especially when he felt excited or nervous. Though his parents loved him dearly, they worried. "Life can be hard for those who are different," his mother whispered gently. Rudolph tried his best not to think about it. When he went to reindeer school, he practiced running, jumping, and flying just like everyone else. But no matter how hard he tried, the other reindeer always noticed his nose first. "Hey, Rudolph, your nose is shining again. It's blinding me. Turn it off." They laughed, and Rudolph's ears drooped low. He wished more than anything that his nose looked like everyone else's. One snowy afternoon, during flying practice, Rudolph felt his nose glow brighter than ever. The other reindeer groaned. "You'll never be one of us," one of them said cruelly. "You'll never pull Santa's sleigh." Those words hurt more than the cold wind. Only one reindeer stood beside him. Her name was Clarice. "I like your nose," she said with a warm smile. "It makes you special." Rudolph smiled back, but deep inside, he wasn't sure special was a good thing. That night, as the snow fell silently outside, Rudolph stared up at the stars. "Why am I so different?" he whispered. Christmas was getting closer, and Rudolph felt farther away from his dream than ever before. And so, under the glowing northern lights, Rudolph made a quiet decision, one that would change his life forever. Rudolph waited until the North Pole was quiet. The elves were asleep. The reindeer were resting, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. With one last look at the warm lights of Santa's workshop, Rudolph turned away and stepped into the snowy forest. His nose glowed softly, lighting the path ahead. He did not know where he was going. He only knew that he could not stay. The snow grew deeper as Rudolph walked. Tall trees surrounded him, their branches heavy with ice. The world felt big and quiet, and for the first time, Rudolph felt truly alone. Suddenly, he heard a voice. "Hey, wait up!" Rudolph turned and saw a small figure running toward him. It was an elf, bundled in a green coat, breathing hard from the cold. "My name's Hermie," the elf said, "and I don't belong at the North Pole either." Rudolph blinked in surprise. "Why not?" Hermie sighed. "Because I don't want to make toys. I want to be a dentist." Rudolph laughed softly for the first time in days. "I know what it feels like to be different," he said. And so, Rudolph and Hermie traveled together. They crossed icy rivers, climbed snowy hills, and shared stories under the stars. For the first time, Rudolph felt understood. Hermie never laughed at his nose. In fact, he found it helpful. It's like having our own lantern, Hermie said cheerfully. One evening, as the snowstorm grew fierce, a deep roar echoed through the mountains. The ground trembled. From behind a ridge appeared a massive white creature with sharp teeth and glowing eyes, the abominable snow monster. Rudolph froze in fear, but the monster did not attack. Instead, it groaned in pain. Hermie stepped forward bravely. "Your tooth," he said. "It hurts, doesn't it?" With careful hands and a gentle heart, Hermie fixed the monster's aching tooth. The creature's fierce expression softened, and soon he smiled. "No one ever helped me before," the monster said sadly. Rudolph realized something then. Everyone felt lonely sometimes, even those who seemed scary. They spent the night together, safe from the storm. As the fire crackled, Rudolph looked at his glowing nose, reflecting in the ice. Maybe being different wasn't a curse. Maybe it was a gift. Far away, back at the North Pole, Santa stood outside his workshop, staring at the sky. The air felt heavy. Thick fog rolled in, darker and denser than anything he had ever seen. The reindeer tried to fly, but they couldn't see. Christmas Eve was almost here, and Santa was worried. Christmas Eve arrived quietly, wrapped in silence and fog. At the North Pole, the air felt heavy, as though the world itself was holding its breath. The fog was thick and gray, curling around buildings, drifting across the snow, and hiding the stars completely from view. Santa Claus stood beside his sleigh, his red coat glowing faintly in the lantern light. He had seen many storms in his long life, but never one like this. "I can't see the sky," Santa said softly. "And without the sky, we can't fly." The reindeer stamped their hooves nervously. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and all the others tried lifting into the air, but each time they were forced back down. The fog swallowed everything. For the first time in centuries, Christmas was in danger. Far away, beyond the icy hills, Rudolph felt it too. He stood on a snowy ridge with Hermie and the abominable snow monster, watching the strange gray fog roll across the land. Rudolph's nose began to glow brighter than ever before, pulsing with a warm red light. Hermie shielded his eyes. "Rudolph, your nose is shining like a lighthouse." Rudolph felt an unusual calm, yet uneasy. Deep in his heart, he sensed something calling him home. "I think Santa needs me," Rudolph said quietly. The monster nodded. "Then you must go," he said. "Sometimes the thing that makes us different is the thing that makes us needed." Rudolph hugged Hermie tightly. "Thank you for being my friend." With that, Rudolph turned and ran, his hooves pounding through the snow, his glowing nose cutting through the fog like a blade of light. Back at the North Pole, Santa looked up suddenly. In the distance, a red glow pierced the fog. It grew brighter and closer. "Rudolph?" Santa whispered. Rudolph emerged from the mist, breathless but determined. His nose shone brilliantly, lighting the entire clearing. Santa's eyes filled with wonder. "Rudolph," he said warmly, "your nose, it's exactly what we need tonight. Will you lead my sleigh?" For a moment, Rudolph remembered all the laughter, all the teasing, all the times he wished he were different. Then he lifted his head proudly. "Yes, Santa," he said, "I will." That night, the sleigh rose into the air once more. Rudolph flew at the very front, his red nose glowing brighter than the stars themselves. The fog parted wherever he went, revealing rooftops, chimneys, and sleeping towns below. Children dreamed peacefully as Santa delivered gifts around the world. Snow sparkled, bells rang, and Christmas magic returned. Rudolph flew with confidence and joy, knowing at last that he belonged. As the final gift was delivered and the last chimney faded into the distance, the sleigh turned back toward the North Pole. The fog had lifted completely now, and the sky was clear and bright. filled with stars that seemed to dance with happiness. Rudolph led the way home, his nose still glowing, though now it felt warm and gentle, rather than nervous or uncertain. Below them, the world slept peacefully, wrapped in the joy of Christmas morning. When the sleigh landed at the North Pole, cheers filled the air. The elves poured out of Santa's workshop, clapping and laughing. The reindeer gathered around Rudolph, their eyes shining with admiration. "You were amazing," Dasher said. "We couldn't have done it without you," added Dancer. "I'm sorry we ever laughed," another reindeer said softly. Rudolph felt his heart swell. For the first time, he didn't feel different in a painful way. He felt proud. Santa placed a gentle hand on Rudolph's shoulder. "Tonight," Santa said, "you reminded us all of something very important. Christmas isn't about being perfect. It's about kindness, courage, and believing in yourself." Clarice stepped forward and nuzzled Rudolph affectionately. "I always knew you could do it," she said with a smile. Rudolph's nose glowed a little brighter, not from magic, but from happiness. Later that morning, as the sun rose and painted the snow in shades of gold and pink, Rudolph stood outside the stable, watching the world wake up. Hermie arrived soon after, waving excitedly. "You did it," Hermie laughed. "You saved Christmas." Rudolph smiled. "We all did," he replied. Even the abominable snow monster visited, now wearing a friendly grin, and helping the elves decorate the North Pole with ice sculptures and laughter. From that day on, Rudolph led Santa's sleigh every Christmas Eve. But more importantly, he became a symbol of hope for every child who felt different, shy, or unsure of themselves. And whenever someone looked up at the sky on Christmas night and saw a soft red glow guiding Santa's sleigh, they remembered the lesson Rudolph taught the world, that being different is not a weakness, it is a gift. And sometimes it is exactly what makes miracles possible. Rudolph's journey reminds us that our true strength often lies in our uniqueness. Embrace what makes you different, for it might just be the light that guides not only your path, but inspires a world. What unique glow do you bring to the world? Share your story, like this video, and subscribe for more tales of courage and transformation.